Hey folks, okay, this time I want to talk about Lab 5 and get you going on that. The good news about this one is there is actually nothing to pull and merge. You can just plow straight on from whatever your repository looked like from Lab 4. Again, assuming that you've cleaned up any bugs and whatnot that comes from the feedback. Hopefully nobody is still cleaning up stuff from their Lab 3 feedback that's impacting their execution, but again, do make sure you've addressed all that. So let's see, where did I want to go for this one? This one's all about testing. So what you're going to be doing is developing a set of test cases and a bash script to go through and apply those test cases to the demo program. So essentially you want to go through and come up with a suite of test data to use, and you want to document that so that I can understand what you've put where, what data you are using, what test cases you're testing, where the files from them are, how your test script works. So there needs to be documentation in a reasonable, I haven't specified a name here, but in a reasonably named file, test documentation or something like that. In a file in your repository so that I can read that, know how to use your tester, and know how to work my way through your test data to see what's taking place. So you want to be testing the program, the demo program, to see if it actually matches the user requirements. Now, doing a full version of that would be way beyond the scope of what we're looking at here. Right, that's to do a full test to make sure everything actually follows the requirements is way beyond what we can do. What we'll settle for is kind of a reasonable subset. So what I've outlined here are the kind of handful of test cases that you should include. If you want to go beyond that, that would be nice, but it's not strictly necessary. So there should be at least one test case for every valid command that's in there. So one for inserts, and one for each of the different kinds of finds, and one for each for the different kinds of prints. There should be a test for the invalid command and for testing cases where they do duplicate insertions. Again, just to test some of the core functionality. Right, so we're just going through, have a read through the set there. If you don't understand any of the test cases that I'm describing, get in touch with me and let me know. But again, this is the idea. We want to get a decent set of test cases in there, partly just to test some core functionality, but also so that you can show that your test suite is well designed and your test automation is well designed to apply all of these different kinds of tests, and that you are thinking about this kind of thing. So again, reasonable documentation to describe how your test script works and where all your test cases are, what the data is, how to add new test cases to this. If I wanted to add one more test case to your set, it should be easy for me to do, and that should be documented clearly in this the test plan document, or the test documentation that you're putting together. So you're putting together this suite of test cases, and again, in all likelihood, what you're going to have to do is come up with what you think the output should look like. You're going to have to come up with what the input should be, and you're going to have to come up with some sort of a structure for where you want to store the data in terms of files, and in a way that's compatible with your testing script. Now, you've got a fair bit of freedom with the bash test script. It does have to be a bash script, and of course in the repository, but I'll give you a fair bit of flexibility there. If you want to work from the example that we were working on in the lectures, so if you think way back to wherever we were here in the first script that we went through, where we actually looked at putting together a short bash script to do just some simple testing. I don't know, way down the bottom here someplace. Where are we? So we put together a short test script. You can use that kind of a structure if you want to. Obviously you're going to have to think about where all the different files and things go, but you can tackle something along those lines if you like to. Feel free to use that script and adapt it any way you like, or to start with a brand new script of your own. Either way is totally okay. So you want to put together a bash script, you want to make sure that it works, and you want it to easily apply the set of test cases that you've come up with. So once you've got that set up, I'd like you to actually run your script on your test data, so it actually runs all the cases. Record the data somewhere, so somehow these results should be recordable or storable. And I want you to write a short report that summarizes the bugs that were found. Right? So essentially it's saying, okay, here are the results of, here's the test cases we ran, here's the ones that passed, here's the ones that didn't, and for the ones that didn't, here's a quick look at sort of how it failed. Now, you don't have to go through and debug it or anything along those lines, debug the program itself, that is, but it should be going through and summarizing the defects that your test cases and your test script caught. And of course, as always, once you're done with all this, you want to do your adds and commits and do your push. And hopefully that should be it for this time around. All right, so there is a fair bit of work there in creating your test cases and in making sure that they work and getting your script debugged. So this isn't one that I would leave until the last minute, but hopefully it's a fairly manageable one. All right, I will leave it there for now.